I just need to start off with the most burning question I have, and that's why the heck is Lilith in heaven? And here's the thing, you all said in my short drawings of Hazbin Hotel that the Lilith we see in the series is an imposter. And at first I was like, nah, that sounds ridiculous. But then I concluded the series and honestly, I'm convinced now more than ever that yeah, this lady in heaven who Lute said was Lilith cannot be Lilith at all. It makes no sense because in the intro, Lilith was said to have thrived in hell, while Lucifer grew depressed. So like if Lilith was thriving in hell, why would she up and leave her family and her people for heaven? Maybe something happened that made her change her mind, but personally, I don't think so. Unless she was kidnapped by a vengeful woman named Eve, who wants so badly to get to heaven because she's probably hella bitter about Lucifer tempting her to eat the fruit, which was such a huge sin that she ended up in hell. So Eve played the long game, locked Lilith away when Charlie was young, and probably pretended to be Charlie's mom as Lilith for years. And then she finally made her move 7 years ago, most likely striking some kind of shady deal with both Adam and Alistair, which honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if her deal with Alistair was for Alistair to kill Adam. But anyway, it just feels like the Eve replacing Lilith theory has some real weight to it. And I'll be surprised if it turns out any different. With that out of the way, here are my thoughts about the entire season. I went into it feeling less than enthusiastic, but that's just how I am with any new series that I start that I know nothing about. On the first episode, I was kind of multitasking and spending a lot of time going, what? How can Adam the first man be an angel? That's not how it all goes. He's just a mortal soul according to all the religious texts I've read. But you all clarified that just because the show has religious themes doesn't mean that there's any sort of religious text that it follows to a T. For instance, the intro mentions no God, but heavily speaks about angels ruling heaven and creating Adam and Lilith and then Eve. And it's just interesting because I really didn't catch that on the first watch. And my brain just sort of filled in that God is still the creator, but there's actually no mention of God. Definitely makes me think there might not be an actual God in this series, but I do hope that the elder angels will step in with better reasoning and decision making when it comes to Charlie's plan. My favorite thing of the whole series was Sir Pentious, which is hilarious because when Sir Pentious arrived, I couldn't have cared less for this character, which is crazy to say now because that's my man. Well, I mean, I actually hope he becomes Cherry's man eventually, but he's like the best. From being unafraid to battle Alistair, to saying sorry, to kind of failing again and again to get an ounce of Cherry Bomb's attention, to finally facing his fears and kissing Cherry and sacrificing himself for his friends. Y'all, if you ain't a Sir Pentious fan, I don't know. How can you not be a Sir Pentious fan, you know? Also, after a rewatch, y'all are right about St. Peter. He just looked like a Ken to me, but he's definitely a twink. I see it now. I see it, y'all. But anyway, my least favorite thing besides Valentino, the story felt rushed. I don't know if it's because I watched the season fairly quickly or if it genuinely felt a little fast-paced. I feel it probably had to be fast-paced though, because this is the first season. It has to be exciting and it has to be catchy, and they have to set the foundation of this story up in the first season, and there's no room for error or downtime. Because shows these days get axed for any little reason by companies like Prime, Netflix, Hulu, etc. Thankfully, Hazbin Hotel was a hit, and hopefully this show getting canceled isn't something we have to worry about ever. So where do I think the show is going? Well, it's been confirmed that the V's will be our main villains next season, and I'm so excited for that because as much as I dislike Val, Vel, and Vox, they make for some great personalities, and I think they'll also make for some interesting strategies when it comes to fighting against Alistair and Charlie. But given that we're shifting into focus on the V's, I'm not so sure we'll get a whole ton of the Lilith/Eve situation. I feel like that might be more set up for season 3, and I also still refuse to believe Adam is gone for good. I really do think he'll be respawning in hell. I understand that angelic weaponry kills the soul for good. I get that, but I'm just in denial that this is the last we'll see of Adam. It just doesn't feel final. It doesn't. And finally, questions I want answered. How does heaven even work? I cannot wait for the world building on this because the fact that not even the angels know is so interesting. And what exactly were Lucifer's fantastical ideas for all of creation? Like, what was Lucifer truly thrown out for? I'm mean, I get a general idea, but I'm wondering about the specifics about his exile. And finally, what sort of favor is Alistair hoping to ask Charlie of? Or does he even know? A part of me wonders if he just made that deal and is still thinking of what exactly he needs to ask of Charlie that in some way benefits his freedom. That said, fantastic show, great music, wonderful characters, and I honestly can't wait for more.